Good afternoon, TalkSport 2, the social. Ellard and Flex from the United View with you until 6 o'clock this evening. Let's now talk all things Manchester United. Lisandro Martinez deflected strike ensured United came out with a, let's say, a drab fixture against Fulham with all 3 points. The win means Ruben Amorim's side have now won back-to-back games after beating Rangers in the Europa League midweek, and they move up to 12th. But it's some of the comments from Ruben Amorim after the game about Marcus Rashford that's made some headlines. Here's what he had to say about the England international.
It's the same situation for every player. If you do the maximum, if you do the right things, we can use every player. And you can see it today on the bench. We miss a little bit like pace to go, to change the game, to move some pieces. But I prefer like that. I will put Vital before I put a player that don't give the maximum every day. So I will not change in that department.
Flex, how do you feel about the Man United manager's comments after a victory? Because it's pretty obvious what he's trying to do, what he's trying to say. Marcus Rashford, he's not trying, he's not working, he's not fighting.
Yeah, I didn't expect to hear that, so I was quite shocked. I'm not surprised by what he's saying because Marcus Rashford hasn't played since he was omitted from the squad against the Manchester derby. So I understand that he's always going to be omitted from this squad until he finds a solution as to where he can go and play his football. I'm just not sure what this does to help the situation at this moment. I'm not angry at Ruben Amorim at all, but I don't get how it helps the situation. And also, a lot of people haven't really been talking about this, and I thought about it. Well, he's basically just said he's not doing what he wants him to do in training. But Marcus Rashford is still in first-team training. He has been this whole time. So he's deemed not positive enough in his behaviour to get in the matchday squad. But he's not deemed too toxic to be a bad influence upon the rest because you're allowed to be with them day in, day out in training when we're working on things. And I know the level of training we're having for what Ruben Amorim's saying is we don't have time to train how he really wants to train, but he's allowed in first team training and in the media training before the Rangers game, he was all smiles and in the rondos, and then obviously subsequently wasn't in the team again. So I just don't understand if one side part of this is Marcus Rashford's impact on the rest of the group, what he does outside of football, how he's looking after himself, his attitude is an issue. So you're not getting in my team. But we're also allowing him to just train with the first team and be all right with the first team. That looks like a bit of a mixed message.
But could there not be a balance where he maybe isn't working hard enough, maybe isn't giving it his all, maybe the question marks outside of the pitch, but also he can also then not be toxic, right? I guess I don't think it has to be one or the other.
No. I just find that very interesting. What does that dynamic look like then? Because if you've got somebody, he's saying, what you're doing is not enough to get into my squad. What are you doing? What are you training like then?
Yeah, well,
because how is that going to help the
enough.
rest? That's what I'm saying. How is that going to help the group then? When we need
so you think he should just be banished from the first team squad?
But then the problem with that is, it's kind of how drastic do you want to go? Because with Amorim coming out and saying that, and you're trying to secure Marcus Rashford a low move away from the football club, and the other teams are going, if we do want to take a punt on Marcus Rashford.
My next question was going to just be that. If you want to slag him off because you feel like you need to, wait 1 week, then do it. I just thought we've got a week to window closes. If anything, you should be trying to big up this guy to try and get rid of him, right?
But also the point's been made. And, he's been consistent in terms of it's the same thing, why he's not in the team. But people have said, and then I think against... Was it Brighton? I think he said, look, I don't want to talk about Rashford. We've lost today. He didn't play. And if he would have said something like that against Fulham, listen, we won that game.
Story, is it?
But just say, let's talk about the players who played today. There's no point talking about players who didn't play today. And you've already given the media a gem last week and kind of retracted that in terms of the worst team ever line.
Sure.
And then the following week, you've now given them another unprovoked nugget. But listen, at the end of the day, a lot of Man United fans will see it, though, as good. The manager's finally calling out Rashford. There's no protection around him or trying to hide. Maybe he is doing... Because I thought maybe that he was actually training well, but because he's done the interview with Henry Winter and said he wants to leave, doesn't matter how well you train, you're not playing. Because how can I move forward with a player who said he wants a new chance, doesn't want to be here?
Club, yeah.
But really, Ruben's now come out and said, no, he's not even doing what I want him to be doing.
And also, I thought what was interesting is that, because it hasn't been a good start for Ruben Amorim in terms of results on paper, right?
It's been terrible.
But I thought it was interesting that watching the game on TV last night, for large parts of that second half, the United fans were chanting Ruben Amorim's name.
Yeah,
everyone's
behind
show of support for the man.
Absolutely. And listen, I'm not suggesting one bit that he shouldn't have the support of we are 100% behind Ruben Amorim. He's been a breath of fresh air. But it doesn't mean, because there's also this thing in the fan base, or you're not allowed to just talk about what the manager said or did, or maybe that decision means you want him out, or it means you're not here for the rebuild. It's total rubbish. You're allowed to talk about some of the way he's handling situations, because, like you said, he's a young coach, just turned 40 today. Is he really? It's his birthday. Said he feels like he's 50 because he's been at Man United. But he's going to make mistakes. He's learning.
Yeah, of course.
So, you have to understand sometimes is that the right thing to say at that moment? What did that help? You can look at it and say, well, it helped clear up the situation of, is Rashford just totally not training well then? Yes, in my opinion, Ruben Amorim, he's saying he's just not doing it. He's not committed. I'd rather, and if that happens, and which is the same for all my players, he said, if they're not giving me 100%, they don't get on my bench. They're not part of it.
Does it hurt you, Flex, though, when you hear a manager coming out and saying that about one of your players, and not just one of your players, one of your own, a local lad who we know is being paid big money, like not his fault, like everybody is, but people at that football club have lost their jobs over the past couple of months, and you've got a local player who the manager is coming out and is saying isn't even working hard. Does it hurt you, Flex? You go to all the games. I don't know if you know Marcus, but you'd have seen him around and stuff. Does it hurt, mate?
Yeah, I definitely don't know him. But it doesn't hurt, but it's disappointing. It's very, very disappointing. But I'm not shocked by this because I've seen this coming. Most Manchester United fans have seen this coming. It's not a shock all of a sudden that, like, what, Marcus Rashford's not at it? What something's wrong? No, Man United fans aren't completely stunned by this news. This has been a gradual build-up of evidence. From Belfast
last season, it felt like maybe there
absolutely, and even before the Belfast incident,
right.
Like even leading into
Wolves
that
game, wasn't there?
Yeah, he's had some discrepancies along the way. And the season before last, when he had that amazing season with Eric Ten Hag, great. But literally, the second season under Eric, it's never been the same. There's been something off for a long time. I more feel quite pitiful about the situation, like. Marcus Rashford looks like he's in the process of throwing his career down the pan unless he can resurrect it at this point. What is he, 26, 27 now? He's been in the first team for, nearly 9 years now, or about that, 9-10 years. And you're looking at it going, yes, there's been a season or two that have been really good, but this is nowhere near what we thought your ceiling would be. And more to the point, you look jaded. You look lost. You look frustrated. You look unhappy. You look sad. That hurts. That disappoints me. For him, you're taking all this scrutiny. You're sometimes you are the scapegoat. Sometimes there's way too much done and said about you. Sometimes you feed the ammunition and you bring it on yourself. It's 6 to 1, half a dozen the other. So as a United fan, I'm disappointed because it shouldn't have ended like this with Rashford.
What happens if he doesn't get a move in the next week? Can you see
that's a big problem, Sam?
Yeah,
it's a big, especially now after this, after what he said last night. Because I've always been in the mind of, if he doesn't secure a move away, listen, new set of objectives. This is a business. Marcus Rashford needs to be sold in the summer, and you can't do that if you have him out of action since December,
right,
all the way to August.
Yeah.
That's just you just can't have that. But now I'm looking at that, and I'm going, what? Rashford's just going to suddenly turn on his training methods to what Ruben Amorim wants to see, and is Ruben Amorim going to sort of backtrack on what he's seen? Now he's saying the door's open if I see what I want to see.
Yeah, he's never said he's never.
He said it's up to Marcus. It's up to him. So what type of Marcus Rashford are we going to see? I'm nowhere near confident that if he doesn't secure a move away, we get a Rashford chomping at the bit. There's been a lot of PR put out, a lot of a little bit of media speculation of happy to doing extra sessions or happy to stay and fight and this, that, and the other. We haven't seen that fight. We haven't seen it. I'll speak for myself. When I seen Marcus Rashford on the pitch, I haven't seen that. Listen, some of the pushback is, Man United being an awful team. Marcus Rashford is a scapegoat. Garnacho's been poor. Bruno's been poor. Anthony, horrendous. Garnacho, Xerxes, Hoyler, all these types of players. Man United, 13, right? The whole team.
Yeah.
So
AM on DAB via the TalkSport app and on your smart speaker. TalkSport.